For every Pixar hero who gets a whole trilogy, a Disney Plus series, and their face plastered on a theme park ride, there's a one-and-done character who completely stole the show and then just vanished. So today we're diving into what happened to every one-time Pixar character. Let's kick things off with the OG toy tormentor, the kid who was basically a budding Tim Burton, Sid Phillips. And you thought your next-door neighbor was weird. While Andy was staging wholesome westerns, Sid was in his room creating the stuff of nightmares. We're talking a baby doll head on a set of spider legs. You know, for kids. This kid wasn't just breaking toys, he was creating horrifying mutant masterpieces. His room was this grimy, awesome-looking lab where he conducted twisted experiments, like strapping Buzz to a rocket. When Woody and Sid's own freakish creations finally break the #1 toy rule and come alive, it is pure cinematic gold. Woody's head spins a full 360, Exorcist style, and he tells Sid to play nice. I'm pretty sure that kid is still in therapy. It's a moment that scarred Sid for life, and honestly, he deserved it. So where does a kid psychologically shattered by his own playthings end up? Well, Pixar, being the absolute legends they are, gave us a killer Easter egg in Toy Story 3. Fast forward 10 years, and we see a garbage man jamming out to some rock music, rocking a goatee and the exact same skull t-shirt. Yup, that's our boy Sid. He's not a CEO or a supervillain, he's a garbage man. Talk about a glow down, but also kind of perfect. It's a real honest fate for the kid who gave toys PTSD. Okay, so we started with a kid terrorizing toys in his backyard. Now, let's level up to a guy who terrorized an entire city because his hero dissed him. Let's talk about Buddy Pine, aka Syndrome. And that, kids, is why you should always be nice to your fans. As a kid, he was Incrediboy, Mr. Incredible's #1 stan who just wanted to help. But Mr. Incredible hit him with that I work alone nonsense and crushed his spirit. So Buddy tore the poster off his wall, and a supervillain was born. 15 years later, he's back with a zero-to-hero glow-up from heck. He's a tech genius with fire-shaped hair, a flair for the dramatic, and a massive chip on his shoulder. Dude had a serious case of main character syndrome. Literally. He got rich selling weapons and funneled it all into Operation Kronos, a project where he'd lure old supers to an island to get wrecked by his Omni droid, making it stronger each time. His ultimate goal? Unleash his robot on the city, save everyone, and make the whole concept of being super totally meaningless. After his own robot turns on him, he tries to kidnap Jack to raise as his own evil sidekick. But he forgot the single most important piece of advice from Edna Mode. As he flies to his jet, his cape gets snagged in the turbine. Say it with me now. No capes. He gets sucked into the engine and explodes. Edna Mode 1. Fashion faux pas. 0. Alright, I can hear the somber piano music starting up already. If you thought Syndrome's backstory was a bummer, let's talk about the bear that smells like strawberries and pure, unadulterated betrayal. Lotso Huggin' Bear. When Andy's toys land at Sunnyside Daycare, Lotso rolls out the welcome wagon. He's this friendly grandfatherly figure who promises them a toy paradise. Underneath that plush pink exterior is a heart as hard as plastic. We find out from Chuckles the Clown that Lotso, Big Baby, and him all belong to a girl named Daisy. They got left behind, and when they finally made the long journey home, they saw Daisy had replaced him with a new Lotso. Oof, that's gotta sting. In that moment, he snapped. He decided if he was trash, all toys were trash. At Sunnyside, he runs the place like a mob boss, with the cuddly butterfly room for his elites, and the brutal caterpillar room for everyone else. It's a full-on toy prison. After being overthrown, he ends up in a dumpster with Andy's toys, who even save him from being shredded. They get to the incinerator, a literal pit of fire, and see an emergency stop button. They boost him up, and what does he do? He gives them a smug look and just walks away, leaving them to die, cold-blooded. But his story ends with the most perfect poetic justice. He's found by a garbage man who ties him to the front grille of his truck. A brutal end for a brutal bear. Okay, grab your tissues, because we're about to talk about the character who delivered one of the most emotionally devastating gut punches in film history. We're talking about Riley's imaginary friend, Bing Bong. Who's your friend who likes to play? My tears, that's who. This dude is the physical embodiment of childhood imagination. He's part cat, part elephant, part dolphin. He's made of cotton candy, and he cries candy. What a legend. When joy and sadness get launched out of headquarters, they find him wandering through long-term memory, a forgotten relic of Riley's childhood. All he wants is one last trip to the moon in his song-powered rocket wagon. His journey with joy and sadness is pure chaos and heart, but then they fall into the memory dump, the place where memories go to fade away forever. Warning. Emotional damage incoming. He sees his own arms start to disappear. He's being forgotten. Their only way out is his rocket. They try once, they try twice, but they're too heavy. And then, Bing Bong gets it. He knows the rocket can only carry one of them. He starts the song one last time, and as they soar toward the ledge, he jumps out, sacrificing himself so Joy can get back to Riley. His final line as he fades away with a smile, "Take her to the moon for me, okay? And I'm officially a wreck." He's gone. He chose to be forgotten, so Riley could be happy. We all had a bing bong we had to leave behind. From a character who only existed in a child's mind, let's move to a child who completely upended the world of monsters. Let's talk about the one, the only, Boo. This little 2-year-old was supposed to be just another Scream to be harvested by Randall Boggs, but Boo wasn't scared. She saw a giant blue monster and just thought, kitty. Her accidental trip into the monster world sends Monstropolis into a full-blown panic. Human child! Code Red! Sully, the top scarer, is terrified of this supposedly toxic toddler, but his tough guy act melts in about 5 seconds flat. He becomes her protector, her friend, her kitty. Their bond is the absolute heart of the movie, but Boo is more than just cute. She's tough. When Randall has Sully cornered, Boo grabs a baseball bat and just starts wailing on that purple lizard, saving her best friend. Get him, Boo! Of course, she has to go home. The goodbye scene is absolutely heartbreaking. Sully tucks her in and the CDA shreds her door to prevent any more incidents. Sully keeps a single splinter as a memento, and you think your breakup was sad? But this is Pixar, and they weren't gonna leave us hanging. At the very end of the movie, Mike reveals he painstakingly glued the entire door back together, every single piece. Sully puts the last splinter in place, the door powers up, and he slowly opens it. We don't see her, but we hear that perfect little voice say, "Kitty?" And Sully's face breaks into the biggest grin. She grew up, and her kitty came back to visit. Let's head back to the toy aisle and talk about a villain who is the complete opposite of Lotso. He's quiet, he's calculating, and he's been waiting his whole life for a big break. I'm talking about the prospector, Stinky Pete. Still mint in the box, which is a major red flag, people. When Al steals Woody, our favorite cowboy is finally united with the Woody's Roundup gang. For Pete, this is his one-way ticket to a toy museum in Japan. A life behind glass, admired but never played with. At first, Pete seems like a wise old grandpa, sharing Jesse's tragic backstory to manipulate Woody into going with them. And it almost works. But when Buzz and the crew show up for a rescue mission, the real Stinky Pete comes out. The mask is off. He seals the vent shut, trapping them, and reveals he's been pulling the strings the whole time. He spent his life on a dime store shelf, watching other toys get sold while he collected dust. He hates space toys because they made cowboys like him obsolete. The museum is his only shot at feeling important, and he'll do anything to get there, including ripping Woody's arm again with his pickaxe at the airport. What a jerk. But his punishment is a thing of pure, poetic genius. The toys stuff him into a Barbie backpack belonging to a little girl named Amy, who loves to draw on her dolls. He's going to get played with, whether he likes it or not. Speaking of dolls who come in boxes, let's talk about the undisputed king of Sunnyside Daycare's social scene, the master of the dream house, the one and only Ken. He's not just an accessory. When Andy's toys arrive, Ken is immediately head over heels for Barbie. It is love at first sight. He's got the charm, the mansion, and an entire wardrobe of killer outfits. The only problem? He's Lotso's right-hand man, enjoying the good life while other toys suffer. When Barbie confronts him about his shady boss, she breaks up with him, and it looks like it's over. But this is where Ken's story gets good. Barbie gets herself captured on purpose, and using Ken's one weakness, his love of fashion, she stages an interrogation. As he's showing off his outfits, she ties him up and starts ripping his clothes. The horror. When she threatens his prized Nehru jacket, he spills everything. His true hero moment comes at the dumpster. Lotso is about to get rid of Andy's toys for good, but Ken stands up to him, declaring his love for Barbie. Lotso mocks him, but Ken delivers the killer line, "Not like this one. Get you a man who appreciates your uniqueness." He gets tossed aside for his defiance, but his words inspire the other toys. So what happens to Ken? He gets the girl and the kingdom. He and Barbie become the new, benevolent rulers of Sunnyside, turning the toy prison into a toy paradise with beach parties and disco nights. A true revolutionary. Let's dive deep into the big blue ocean and talk about the most clutch side character in Finding Nemo. When Marlin is on his insane ocean-spanning quest, he gets help from some unexpected friends, but no one came through harder than the friendly neighborhood pelican, Nigel. This bird is the real MVP. Nigel is basically the town gossip of Sydney Harbor. He's buds with the tank gang, so he's got all the hot intel on Nemo's whereabouts. He's the one who brings Nemo the epic stories of his dad's journey, giving the little guy hope. Later, Nigel literally saves Marlin and Dory from the mouth of another pelican. Talk about an awkward family reunion. He then becomes their personal Uber, flying them through a terrifying flock of mine seagulls and straight to the dentist's office. He bursts into the room, causing total chaos, all so Marlin can get a glimpse of his son, who appears to be playing dead. Believing Nemo is gone, a heartbroken Nigel flies Marlin and Dory back to the harbor. So what happens to our feathered friend after all that drama? We see him one last time in the end credits, breaking the fourth wall and wiggling his eyebrows at the audience. It's a cute little nod that confirms he found out Nemo was alive and well after all. He went back to his life as king of the docks, but now with the single greatest story a pelican has ever had to tell. Alright, let's shift gears. Pun absolutely intended. And talk about the movie that turned the Cars franchise into a full-blown spy thriller. Cars 2 introduced us to a ton of new characters, but none were cooler than the British intelligence duo, Finn McMissile and Holly Shiftwell. Finn is basically James Bond if James Bond was a vintage sports car. Shaken, not stirred, and definitely well-oiled. He's got grappling hooks, missile launchers, and hydrofoils. This car is a rolling arsenal. Holly Shiftwell is the modern face of espionage. She's a brilliant tech agent on her first field mission. A bit more by the book, but just as capable, armed with advanced holographics and a taser. Their whole story gets tangled up with Mater when, through a classic case of mistaken identity, they think the rusty tow truck is a genius American spy playing the role of a fool. Honestly, an easy mistake to make. It's hilarious watching them try to decipher Mater's nonsense as coded spy talk while he thinks he's on a date with Holly. Throughout their globe-trotting adventure, they start to see past Mater's goofy exterior and recognize his genuine heart and surprising genius for car parts. By the end, they know he's not a spy, but they respect him as a hero. So what happened to them? The last we see of Finn and Holly, they're visiting Radiator Springs. They offer Mater a spot on their team, but he turns them down. They fly off to continue their lives of adventure, forever changed by the tow truck who taught them, you don't need gadgets to be a hero. Every great villain needs a not-so-great sidekick, the sniveling assistant who's just trying to survive the workday. For the terrifying Randall Boggs in Monsters, Inc., that sidekick was the three-eyed, perpetually nervous creature known as Fungus. This guy just wanted to clock in and clock out. Fungus is Randall's scare assistant, which really just means his job is to put up with Randall's constant angry outbursts. He gets roped into Randall's evil plot to build the Scream Extractor, a horrifying machine designed to forcibly suck screams out of kids. Definitely not in the job description. Fungus helps build the thing, but you can tell his heart isn't in it. He even apologizes to Mike Wazowski when they capture him, proving he's not a bad guy, just a cowardly one. His most memorable and hilarious moment comes when he accidentally becomes a test subject for the machine himself. Sully's intervention sends the suction nozzle right onto Fungus's face, and in a flash, it drains all the color from his body, leaving him a pale, quivering mess. After Randall is banished and Waternoose is arrested, you'd think Fungus would be in deep trouble. But this is the new, friendlier Monsters, Inc. we're talking about. So what happened to him? He got a new job. We see him at the end of the film happily working on the new laugh floor. He found his courage, or at least a boss who wasn't a rageaholic lizard. A happy ending for the little guy. Back in the dentist's office, in that little glass box of a world, there was a group of fish who dreamed of only one thing: freedom. And their leader, the one who never gave up hope, was Gill. This fish has seen some things. A Moorish idol with a torn fin and battle scars. Gill is a hardened veteran of escape attempts. When Nemo first arrives, Gill sees him as the key to his latest plan. Nemo is small enough to jam the tank's filter with a pebble. He becomes Nemo's mentor, teaching him that all drains lead to the ocean. But his obsession with escape nearly gets Nemo killed. The first attempt goes wrong, and Nemo almost gets shredded by the filter blades. Gill is horrified, realizing he put a child in danger for his own freedom. That's some heavy stuff for a fish movie. But Nemo, inspired by his dad's bravery, tries again and succeeds. Of course, their victory is short-lived when the dentist installs a new high-tech filter. It seems all hope is lost. But Gill leads one last, daring plan. As the dentist's fish killer niece Darla arrives, Gill has the tank gang launch him out of the tank. He lands on Darla's head, causing chaos and catapulting Nemo into the spit sink and down the drain to freedom. So what happened to the gang? They eventually escape too, sort of. We see them in their plastic bags, having rolled across the street and into the harbor, where Gill asks, "Now what?" We see in the post-credits of Finding Dory that they are eventually rescued and taken to the Marine Life Institute. Every story needs a villain, but sometimes the villain has no idea they're the bad guy. Such is the case with Dr. Philip Sherman, the dentist from Finding Nemo. From his perspective, he's just a nice guy with a fish hobby. He sees a tiny clownfish alone in the ocean and rescues it for his office aquarium. He's the unknowing warden of the tank gang's prison. His biggest crime, in the eyes of the fish, is his plan to give Nemo to his niece, Darla. And let's talk about Darla, the stuff of fish nightmares. This 8-year-old girl, with her headgear and maniacal grin, is a one-kid wrecking crew. She doesn't mean to be evil. She just loves fish a little too hard. The photo on the wall of her holding a baggie with a dead fish says it all. The last fish she got, Chuckles, was done in because she wouldn't stop shaking the bag. R.I.P. Chuckles. Her over-the-top excitement when she sees Nemo proves the tank gang's fears were 100% justified. In the end, what happens to this duo of accidental antagonists? Darla gets a face full of water after the chaotic escape, and Dr. Sherman is left with an empty, messy fish tank and a niece who probably had a terrible birthday. His story just ends in pure, utter confusion. A fitting end for the man who started it all without even knowing it. Syndrome may have been the brains behind Operation Kronos, but he didn't do it alone. His sleek, sophisticated, and morally ambiguous right-hand woman was Mirage. She puts the fatal in femme fatale. With her cool demeanor and striking silver hair, Mirage was the one who lured the heroes to their doom. She's the one who contacts Bob Parr with an offer to get back in the game, playing on his midlife crisis. She facilitates Mr. Incredible's mission to fight the Omnidroid, all while she and Syndrome watch from a distance, gathering data. For most of the film, she seems totally on board with the evil plan. But you see the first crack in her loyalty when Syndrome launches missiles at the plane carrying Helen and the kids. She looks visibly uncomfortable. The real turning point comes after Mr. Incredible is captured. Believing his family is dead, he grabs Mirage and threatens to crush her. Syndrome, being the absolute psychopath he is, calls his bluff. But Mr. Incredible can't do it. He lets her go. This moment changes everything for Mirage. She confronts Syndrome for his callous disregard for life, and he smugly dismisses her. Disgusted, Mirage tells him, valuing life is not a weakness, and walks out. You tell him, girl. She defects, frees Mr. Incredible, and gives him the key intel to stop Syndrome. Her fate is left open-ended, but she chose to do the right thing, and that makes her a hero in our book. Before there was Syndrome, Mr. Incredible had a whole rogues gallery of villains he fought daily. In the glorious opening of The Incredibles, we get a brief but unforgettable glimpse of one of them, the mime-like French-speaking master of explosives, Voyage. This guy is all about the gimmick. He's theatrical, he's French, and he loves a good pun. He's in the middle of a bank heist when Mr. Incredible shows up, but their fight is interrupted by the overeager Incrediboy Buddy Pine. While Mr. Incredible is busy scolding the kid, Voyage slyly attaches a bomb to Buddy's cape. Classic villain move. Mr. Incredible is forced to let him escape to save the kid. He gets the bomb off the cape, but it lands on an elevated train track, causing a huge explosion and leading to a bunch of lawsuits. So in a way, this one-scene wonder is partially responsible for the downfall of all superheroes. His impact was explosive. So what happened to him after he made his getaway? The movie never says, but in a classic Pixar move, he gets a fantastic shout-out in another movie, Ratatouille. During a scene where Remy is watching TV, we see Voyage on the news. This suggests he eventually moved his operations from Metroville to Paris, which, for a French mime-themed supervillain, feels like a very logical and on-brand career move. He's living his best, most villainous life in the City of Lights. Let's talk about Al McWiggin, the obsessive toy collector and owner of Al's Toy Barn. This man needs a different hobby. When he stumbles upon Woody at a yard sale, he tries to buy him, but Andy's mom says no. A normal person would move on, not Al. He creates a distraction, snatches Woody, and makes a run for it. He is a literal toy napper. We see his apartment filled with Woody's Roundup merchandise, and we realize this isn't just a sale, it's an obsession. He carefully restores Woody, takes professional photos, and dreams of the fortune he's about to make selling the whole collection to a museum in Japan. The journey to rescue Woody leads Buzz and the gang to Al's Toy Barn, a colorful wonderland that Al himself barely seems to enjoy. He's all business, no fun. He's always stressed, always shouting into his phone, and always one inconvenience away from a total meltdown. In the end, of course, the toys completely outsmart him. They escape from his suitcase at the airport, taking Jessie and Bullseye with them. Al gets on the plane to Japan, totally oblivious. The next time we see him, it's on a TV commercial for his store, dressed in his chicken suit, weeping uncontrollably over his lost fortune. A deleted scene even shows Al's Toy Barn went bankrupt. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. He learned the hard way. You don't mess with Andy's toys. Big Baby is one of Lotso's chief enforcers at Sunnyside, the strong, silent muscle who seems terrifying at first. But as the story unfolds, we realize Big Baby is just as much a victim as anyone else. There's a broken heart under that bib. He was one of the original toys, along with Lotso and Chuckles, who belonged to a little girl named Daisy. He loved her with all his heart. When Lotso's own heart was broken, he twisted Big Baby's grief, feeding him lies that Daisy never loved him and turning him into a loyal but miserable henchman. The turning point comes when Woody, knowing the truth, shows Big Baby his old pendant with Daisy's name on it. The moment Big Baby sees it, he holds it close and utters a single, heartbreaking word, "Mama," right in the feels. He remembers the love he lost. Lotso, seeing his control slipping, completely loses it. He screams at Big Baby, snatches the pendant, and smashes it to pieces with his cane. Big Baby, with tears streaming down his face, finally turns on his tormentor. He picks up the wicked teddy bear, throws him into the dumpster, and slams the lid shut. So what happened to the giant baby doll who found his voice? He gets to be a baby again. In the new Sunnyside, run by Ken and Barbie, he's seen happily playing in the sandbox, finally at peace. There's a reason clowns are so often depicted as tragic figures. And no Pixar character embodies this better than Chuckles the Clown. This is one sad clown. When Woody first meets the toys at Bonnie's house, he's introduced to a clown who hasn't smiled in years. Chuckles is the one who gives Woody the entire devastating backstory of Lotso. In a quiet, somber monologue, he recounts the story of their owner, Daisy, of being loved and of being lost and replaced. He explains how Lotso's heartbreak turned him into a monster. Chuckles managed to escape Lotso's tyranny and ended up with Bonnie, a much better owner, but the trauma of his past stayed with him. He carries that sadness with him every single day. He is the one who gives Woody the key to everything. Big Baby's mama pendant. This small act of trust is what ultimately unlocks the truth, exposes Lotso, and brings down his entire evil empire at Sunnyside. He's the unsung hero of the story. So what happened to the clown who forgot how to smile? After Andy's toys join Bonnie's collection, things start to change. The most beautiful moment comes in the end credits. Woody shows Chuckles a drawing that Bonnie made of him, a drawing of him smiling. And as he looks at it, a real, genuine smile spreads across his face. for the first time in what seems like forever. He found his smile again. In the high-stakes world of Cars 2, the villain couldn't just be some street-level thug. He had to be a billionaire, a visionary, a car with a grand plan. At first, all signs point to the monocled German scientist, Professor Z. But the real mastermind was hiding in plain sight, a celebrated pioneer of alternative energy, Sir Miles Axelrod. Never trust a car with a comb-over. Axelrod claims he dedicated his life to creating a clean fuel source called Alanol. To promote it, he creates the World Grand Prix, a global race to showcase cars running on his miracle fuel. But it's all a massive scam. As Mater, Finn, and Holly uncover, Axelrod is the secret leader of the Lemons, the broken-down cars who feel disrespected by the world. His Alanol is actually engineered to explode when hit with an electromagnetic pulse from a weapon disguised as a TV camera. Talk about an evil genius. His plan? To make green fuel look unsafe, so the world would have to go back to gasoline. And guess who just happens to own the world's largest untapped oil reserve? You got it. His downfall comes when he's confronted by Mater at Buckingham Palace. With a bomb strapped to Mater and seconds to spare, Axelrod is forced to voice the deactivation code, confessing his guilt to the entire world. He's arrested, his company is dismantled, and he's driven off to prison. And finally, we end where we began, with a childhood fear. Meet Jangles the Clown. I think we can all agree. Clowns are terrifying. In the real world, Jangles was just some guy in a clown suit hired for Riley's 3rd birthday party. But for 3-year-old Riley, that single traumatic experience created a monstrous, twisted version of him that lives deep within her subconscious, the place where all her fears are locked away. When joy and sadness desperately need to wake Riley up, they realize their only option is to unleash a nightmare. They find the slumbering, gargantuan form of Jangles and reluctantly wake the beast. What follows is a frantic, hilarious chase, as the towering, manic clown rampages through dream productions, his giant hammer squeaking menacingly as he hunts for his birthday girl. This is why you hire a magician instead. The nightmare is broadcast into Riley's dream, and she wakes up with a jolt, allowing our heroes to escape. So what happened to the Jangles in Riley's mind? He was likely wrangled and locked back in the subconscious, waiting for the next time Riley has a bad dream about clowns. But we do get one last brilliant look into his world. During the end credits, we see the real human Jangles at another party, looking bored out of his mind with his own emotions complaining, 6 years of drama school. For this, the tragic life of a birthday clown.